I went from being stuck lateral raising 2.5 pound plates for a whole year to doing 35 pound plates on each side within just 6 months. I went from being able to do 0 muscle ups in 2.5 years to in just 3 months, going from doing 1 swinging muscle ups to doing sets of 8 at a time. In this video, I'm going to share with you the strategy which I use to see this godlike progress. So I think the best example, the best place to start with this is if you take a look at my old pull-up clips of me, practicing for the muscle up, trying to do the muscle up, you can see that even last year, even 2 years ago, I truly believe, looking back on it now, I had the pull power to do a muscle up. I was always right there. I had the pull power. As long as you can do 10 pull-ups, they say that you can do a muscle up. I could definitely do 10 pull-ups. I could do it very explosively. I had, the strength to pull my, up to my chest over the bar. And so, yeah, I always have the ability, the pull power, the prerequisite required to do a muscle up. But because I had so many different limiting beliefs, like, oh, it's so difficult and my joints are weak, my wrists are weak, my elbows are weak, I don't want to get injured. It's something, or I told myself, it's something that's very hard and eventually I'll get there, but it's something that's going to take a lot of, practice and athletic potential and all of that stuff. I ended up holding myself back mentally. You see, our minds limit us a lot more than you think, especially in the modern day, in the modern world. Our minds limit us a lot more than you might realize. When it comes to certain lifts, when it comes to certain movements, a lot of us have been stuck at the same weight for a very long time, unnecessarily. Think about any of those, smaller or more isolation movements that you've been using the same weight, the curling the same weight, lateral raising the same weight for months or even years now. What's the reason for that? You are 100% capable of doing more weights. You've been lifting that same one for so long now. But your brain has defaulted you into believing that that is the maximum that you can do. All you need to do is make that shift mentally in order to see massive progress, in order to see massive results and massive gains. Think about it. How much has your overhead press gone up in the last 6 months? I bet most of you are overhead pressing, if you are even overhead pressing, which you should be, but I bet if most of you were to overhead press, would be overhead pressing the same weight for the last 1 year. It's like a mental plateau of, okay, well, I can't do, 5 sets of 5 anymore with this, so I'm stuck now. The reality is, if you believe you can do it, there's a million workarounds. There's all kinds of more advanced routines. There's all kinds of different movements, push presses, spado presses, tricep movements, button pressing. All of these things are going to improve your shoulders, improve your pressing power, and jack up your overhead press. But the issue is most of us get stuck into this mentality of progress needs to be slow or we can't progress. You ever see those videos of that guy who goes up to someone in the gym and is like, all right, what's your max, bro? And then he's like 225 or something. And then they go and do it and the guy does 4 reps of it. It's like his max was a lot higher than 225, but it's just he never pushed that. So he never believed that it was higher than that. If you don't allow your mind to limit you and you truly allow yourself to push your limits, you don't fall into these traps of getting caught up in, limiting beliefs. That's when you're going to experience massive amounts of growth, massive amounts of gains. If you tell yourself you're going to be an athletic, jacked guy, you are an athletic, jacked guy, and you deserve everything that comes with that, you can do it. It's the same thing with so many other things as well. Chances are, if you grew up with immigrant parents, you might have experienced some of these limiting beliefs. But for example, my business, even when I left home, I started my business, I didn't fully implement. I still had so many limiting beliefs that, I was just making YouTube videos. I didn't really have, a proper funnel or proper anything. I was like, I don't think people are going to pay me, all of that stuff. And then, 1 month I was just like, okay, let me just lock in, focus on everything, just focus on making 5K, 10K next month. And then when I did it and I locked in, I fixed my funnel, I did everything right, and then boom, I get the results that I want. It's like, you just need to push past those limiting beliefs, those mental blocks that you have. It's not that difficult as your mind makes it out to be. It's right there. The results are right there. I'll tell you about me and my friend's bench press journey. So you may already know, me and my friend, we were very into the bench press, in our first year especially. I remember back in the day, we were both getting kind of close. I think we were both over 200, and his goal was really to hit 2 plates, 225 pounds. And I think he was maybe at 210 or something. And then I was maybe just at 200. And even back then, his mentality was, I just want to get 2 plates. I don't know if I can even get it though. And for me, it was bro, I know for a fact I'm going to get it. We're making the progress. We're going to get there. I'm going to be there soon. I'm going to get there and I'm going to smash that record. And so 8 months later, he actually did do it. He got to his goal of 2 plates, and he got there. He finally did it, and it was a huge accomplishment. But because his goals was set at that limit, he immediately fell off. And I think within a couple of months, he wasn't even able to do a rep of 225 anymore. Whereas for me, I got it maybe a month after him because he was just closer to it than I was. But I remember I breezed past that in that bulking season when I got it. I went all the way up to 240 because for me it wasn't the ultimate goal. It wasn't that limit that I had to stop at. I was like, I know I'm gonna get it. There's no problem. I remember when I told him, he's like, really, bro? But don't you think you should just be more humble? I'm like, no, man. I'm definitely gonna get it. Like, you don't need to be humble. It's right there. Another thing is, don't fixate on something so small and so low that it's going to hold you back. In American Sniper, there's a quote called "aim small, miss small," where it's like, if you aim for the button on his shirt, even if you miss the button, you're still hitting his chest. You're still gonna kill him. Whereas like, if you only aim for his chest and you miss, then it's just like you missed your target. It's the same thing. You want to aim high. So like for me, my business, I remember before I was working with somebody and we were all focused on getting like 1.5K, 2K a month. And because of that, I was focusing on so many of the wrong things. The funnel wasn't fixed properly, all that stuff. But once I was like, you know what? It's right there. 1.5K, 2K a month is so easy. It's like, it's not that big of a deal. Let me just focus on something bigger, maybe like 5K or 10K. And everyone talks about 10K a month. Let me just be normal and think about that. And once I did that, that's when everything else started to click into place. I was like, I wasn't fixated on getting like just a couple sales or anything like that. So yeah, again, just don't limit yourself mentally. Don't set yourself up for failure with like these limiting beliefs and all of that stuff. Allow yourself to feel the full progress of what you deserve. Also, if you're liking the video so far, be sure to check out my free routine in the description below. It's how I put on over 50 pounds of body weight and over 25 pounds of muscle mass. Anyways, just go back onto that muscle up because I think that's a really good one. Even 2 years ago, I remember the summer, like early summer of 2023, we were at the park with like a bunch of friends I don't really see anymore, but I remember we were like doing the muscle ups and one guy there knew how to do it. And we were all like pulling and my chest was like over they're like, dude, you're like right there, just do it. And I couldn't do it. And so it just goes to show like, I probably could have done a whole muscle up like 2.5 years ago because it's almost weird. It's like if I didn't care about it, I would have probably just done it easily. But because I was like, wow, it's so cool. It's such a big deal. Like, it's like a huge achievement. You look so cool. It's like an athletic thing. Because I made it such a massive deal in my head, it was something that it became too big to achieve. And so it literally took me until the point of where I can like literally pull myself to my waist is almost over the bar. That's when I was like, finally like, okay, dude, I can just like lock it out. Because it's like, at this point, it's harder to not lock it out. So that's when I finally did my muscle up. And then after that, the progress just became very easy because I got over that mental hurdle. And now I can do like sets of 8, sets of 10 even. And I can probably try doing some cooler stuff soon. But the point is, don't fixate on small goals and don't limit yourself mentally. You're capable of a lot more than you might realize. Anyways, guys, with that being said, that's going to be the end of this video. Check out my free routine in the description below. Like the video if you did. Subscribe if you're not already. I'll see you in the next one.